Hey everybody, this is part 2 of our coding a custom NinjaTrader 8 indicator using ChatGPT. When we left off last time, we had just used the prompts to generate the what we hope is a functioning piece of code, but I already know since I've tried to run this that it is not the case. But let's see what we can do to make it functioning. So if you'll remember from last time, we have a couple WMAs, Wilder's moving average, and an EMA that we want to have in our custom indicator. Just increase the font size a little bit there. And with a couple color changes as properties that the user can set as conditions on what color to paint the candles. Alrighty, so let me show you, since I already hinted that I had tried it, what it ends up looking like, or what I was able to get it to look like. This isn't quite what we started out with as intention, but we do end up getting some colors on the candles. I'm gonna go ahead and go back to the code, and I'm gonna delete that and then start from scratch from the ChatGPT generated content. So let me go ahead and go to the NinjaTrader version. We called ours color candle with WMAs, but I'm gonna go ahead and remove everything that is actually functioning right now. I'm gonna take that out and leave a section of code that I don't think I could increase the font on this any further, so hopefully you can see this clearly. I have not recorded NinjaTrader interface before. Alrighty. Okay, so let's go back to the prompt, and we're gonna copy the last generated file here. I know it's missing a couple things, like right here, because it was we had asked it to do some updates, so I'm gonna have to remember to get that. I'm gonna copy there. One of the things you'll notice is that we had to tell it to continue in order to generate additional code. It gets that way sometimes when I don't quite know if it's certain strings that cause it in this code editor embedded, code display. So when you call continue, it'll, print out the rest of what it's supposed to print, but it's not within this nicely formatted display. So we're going to have to do a couple copy and paste to get back to where we were. Alright, so that's just the first portion, and I'm going to copy this, and the way you do it is you just paste it at the end of wherever that is. So in this case, it's after this equal sign. I'm going to paste it in, and then I have to reformat it, tab it a couple times, tab this, and as we know, right at this point, our class and our namespace isn't fully enclosed. So I'm just going to enclose that for now, even though I'll be overwriting it in a second, just so that NinjaScript editor doesn't complain. So I've copied this. Now I need to get the rest of the and it happens to have an enclosing class but not namespace, so I'll remember to paste that much in. So I'll just delete that and paste the rest in. Alrighty, I think that's everything. We'll get it nice and neat here. Okay. No syntax errors thus far. Let's see if we can actually compile. Oh, the other things that when I created a new indicator with the same name, so that's how I started. I should step back. I just click the plus button here, go to new indicator, click next, and then I put in the name of the indicator I want. In this case, it was candle color ring with the WMAs, and that's what I put in. and it generated the file. But I don't want to regenerate or recreate that file, and I didn't want to really delete it. So hopefully you can follow along that much. I'm going to remove the imports that that ChatGPT generated and just take whatever was already available to me. So that's what I'll do. I could clean up some more, but I'll just leave it at that. Okay. All right, we'll compile this, and we already got our first set of errors. First of all, there's no such built-in indicators such as, or called WMA. Luckily, I created one called Wilder's MA already when I was doing my other project. This again, I'll just go to it, is a indicator. It looks like the EMA, just uses a different constant as the denominator compared to the EMA code that NinjaTrader provides you. So this constant, you can see the math is basically, or the code flow is basically the same, except I have a different constant value, and the value in the on-bar update is also a little bit different. Not much, so between that and that. Okay, so that's the first thing we'll have to do is we'll have to reference the one that I created instead of WMA, because that actually doesn't exist. Let's compile that and see what other errors we get. All right. Okay, so this is the parameters or the properties that we had talked about that I'll need to copy from a previous generate call, which is right here. And this too got cut off, so I'm going to have to do it in twos, which is this portion here. So that is the annoying thing. And this is where the properties actually go, and it tells you that. And you'll run into this when you generate files with, I don't know if it's a size issue, like number of code lines or characters that it generates, or what type of content it generates, like if there's a special character that is throwing it off or what. Okay, I think that should be what we have. Okay, now we have to finish off what we started before. Since there's no Wilders, we'll just have to reference the one that does exist. And here we get our first real code challenge of sorts. The indicator Wilders MA doesn't take a single value, it takes a series. So what we'll need to do is pass it in a series. And I have some of that code off already, so I'm going to go ahead and copy them into this. Let me find that. So I'll just do this. And I'll actually change the name of it to close series. And because of the complications that I actually had, I'm going to just use a single series. The WMAs, there'll be two of them in the code, but for the simplicity of and the length of this recording, I'll just have one series. But if I wanted a separate series for each of the WMAs, I would have to, do like close series and then call it something else like price diff series. And then what I would use in my WMA here, I would just call it close series, and this could be price diff series. Hopefully you get the picture there. For the built-in EMA one, close by itself without a trailing bracket, that close means it's already a series, a data series. I don't know if I could link in Visual Studio. You should be able to follow through and see. Oh, I guess mouse over. You can see that in the tooltip it says of type I series double. And that's what we really had to pass into the other ones too, I series or series double. So that error should get us past that. We have other errors down below here where we are setting candle color, some built-in indicator property named candle color that ChatGPT thinks exists, but it actually doesn't. Instead, what it needs to be is that we need to set our brush, and we'll just call it candle color, or let's just call it candle brush to be correct. And then we will use this candle brush to set the bar brush to equal to candle brush. And bar brush is the actual property, and along with candle outline brush. And we're gonna color both to be the same color, the outline and also the bar itself. So that should get us past that compilation, and we'll come up with a new one. And in this particular one, I'm not versed enough in NinjaTrader to know exactly why, but we can't have solid color brush as our property type, or I guess one way I fixed it was just reference brush instead of solid color brush. So that's what I'm going to do here for the neutral, the down, and the up color. The other thing I'll also have to do is where it sets, like say up color brush, it's using this convention. The other way you could do it is actually not reference this means basically the same thing as what was before, except we don't have a private variable like in down color. We have a private variable called down color that we're setting the past and values to. Or you can just have a public property called up color. I'll keep the convention that NinjaTrader or ChatGPT had created or generated, but what I'll need to do is also change the type of this variable too. So we'll go up to the top. You can see they're also called color brush, so I'm going to just change them to brush as well so that we are correct, that the values are being set. And looks like we got past all of our compilation issues, which means well, did I compile it? Yes, I compiled it. I'm going to go to my chart. I've already loaded it, but let me go ahead and remove it first, and then we'll re-add it together. Just to what I have right now, if you didn't catch that, was two plots, the Wilder's MA that we're also using in this new aggregated indicator, and also an EMA, both with a period of 14. The first one, the Wilder's one, we're going to change that to let's change this color to be, I don't know if coral's a good color for display, but you can see the Wilder's one is the coral, the dotted or dashed yellow is the EMA. And so if we go back to adding our indicator that we just created, the color nope, that's not it. That's candle coloring with WMAs. We'll add that in. Our up color is green, so when our condition says, hey, use up color, we'll use green. I'm going to change that to Dodger blue because why not? And the down color will change to yellow. Neutral will be gray. Our period for our WMAs will be 14. Our EMAs will also be 14, just so that it'll match what's currently displayed. And hey, that's pretty good. The colors changed, except it looks like we just have neutral color showing on the up bar. So we're going to need to change our logic that actually picks which color to paint the candles. But it's not bad. So we'll go back to our code and figure out what we need to do. So there's actually two things. One is that our WMA, because we're referencing a local data series, we're not actually updating those values on onbar update. We could change this all we want, but right now the WMA value is actually not being generated, with each run of the onbar update. So we're going to have to decide what we want to do there. And what we'll do is say we'll set the close series at the current bar's value. And what we'll do is we'll just use the close price. So the EMA and the WMA will be using the same thing. Now the other alternative, if you really, want to be technical, is you could just use the close right there as well instead of a custom one. But I'm going to show the custom one because in reality what we would do is do like close minus open. That was the intent of the original design, but I think it gets a little too complex for what I'm trying to show here. So I'm just going to take the closing value by itself to do the close series, and while I'm at it, I'm just going to do the price diff series to be the same. Again, this isn't what you would do. You'd put your own logic here to use against the to run that data into the WMA and or EMA, and so so you would probably want to do this here if use the closed series or something and run the EMA on that. But for simplicity's sake, we'll do that. And I don't know if this needs to be done, if setting this value there actually runs this, but I'm going to keep it in here because I don't think it hurts. I think in here there's a check. If it's recently been run, then it doesn't run it again. So this kind of like if you're familiar, like garbage collection calls in Java or C#, you can call it all day long, but it'll only do it if it needs to be done, kind of thing. All right. So that should now generate based off of the closed series. We now have to modify how we want to do our logic. And what I'm going to do is simplify it and only use the WMA1 and the EMA value to figure out when to color the candle. And what I'll do is say if the WMA1 is greater than the EMA, let's call that our up color. And on the but if it's less than EMA, we'll go ahead and call that the down color. Otherwise, if it's equal, we'll just make it the neutral doji color. And if I recompile that, oops, again, oops, series, I forgot my bracket here. And just as a pause at this point, what we'll say is, talk about this. What we're saying is using the close series at the current bar, set it to the closing price at that bar as well. Before, our error was this, where we're setting the series itself, the whole series, not just the bar value or the value at a particular index or position. And so you're just missing or mismatching types. Now, if we were to do this, this would actually be valid, but I don't know if that's an efficient use of the code, especially if we're adding our own logic at some point. So you're just saying, for the current price or current location in the series, set it to also the current closing price. We compile that, and that should get rid of it. Now what we have to do here is refresh, reload our Ninja script, and here we go. That is not correct. Our bar is not the yellow and green of what we have here. So we're going to have to figure out why it's not coloring it to be those two things. And I actually don't know why, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove the indicator first and then give it a try again. And then it's still not working. I might need to reload the chart, restart NinjaTrader. Actually, one of the things that this code didn't provide is to be able to there's, depending on the thread that it's running on, if you're updating these colors and accessing this, you may not be able to actually set the bar color on the on bar update because of mismatching threads that they're running on. And I'm not 100% familiar with it, but I do know that when I was working on this particular indicator for someone, I had to add this section of code. So I'm going to copy that, and what I'll do is we'll create a new method called just go private void set bar brush. Oops. And in there we'll take two values. Oops. We'll go we'll copy this right here, and we'll take in the EMA value and the WMA value, and then we'll actually move all of this logic in here. And EMA value, so we'll use that instead of EMA 0, instead of referencing that, we'll just and this needs to be a double. This is the problem with working in JavaScript for too long. You forget to specify types until the compiler tells you. And in here we'll go EMA 0, that's the current value, WMA 1. So now and this is actually a better design anyways, to remove some of your UI logic, in this case the painting logic, away from the actual calculation logic. All we're doing, say, is on bar update, do the calculation, and for the painting just call some other method to do the painting logic. In such a small piece of code it really doesn't matter, and I don't know if this will actually work to fix the indicator issue. I didn't run into it previously, and it still looks like it did not work. Okay, well, I actually don't know what's going on, so what I'm going to do is I'm gonna go ahead and restart NinjaTrader and see if that clears out some of the caching of the files, because I've compiled it a couple times and changed the contents of it. I don't know if that is causing the problem, so I'm gonna go ahead and restart that, and hopefully we'll get lucky. Fingers crossed. And I'm going to go ahead and restart that. While that's booting up, my analysis so far of ChatGPT is that unless you are fully confident in doing what you're trying to get its help on, I think it's probably more harm or more time wasting than to just find some other source like an existing indicator that you can copy and just change a few things here and there. Just because of the training model that it uses can be old. For ChatGPT version 4 or the GPT model version 4, it's using, I think, data from 2021. Of course, NinjaTrader hasn't changed all that much. So it should be fine. It's probably one of the better candidates compared to other trading platforms like Tradevate or Quant Tower, because those are fairly new and their APIs have changed a little bit. But it's good to know what you're doing and just using ChatGPT as a assistant versus the source of truth, or the primary source of truth. And I don't quite see why it's not working right now. So I'm going to go ahead and remove it again and go back to the code. And I will cheat this time. But what I'll cheat with is the file that I actually created before I started recording. It's not too much different than what we have here, but I do know that it works, so I'm hoping that doing that will work. Most of the changes are what we've already talked about, except for the last one, which was painting the color in a separate environment. I'm gonna go ahead and compile. Alright, compilation succeeded. And I'll choose and I'll change that to Dodger blue and yellow. Those are my two favorite colors to do things like this, where you have, you know, up color, crossovers, things like that. Blue for me means you know, same as green, and yellow same as red. It's just not green or red. Alright, so it works. Again, I don't quite know why the other one didn't work. I'm still new to NinjaTrader. I'm sure I could figure out over time. But you can see here, you know, our logic is working. If you'll remember, our coral is the WMA, and our dotted yellow is the EMA. And in our logic right here, anytime the actually this one might be reversed. Yes, if the EMA, which is the dotted yellow, is over the coral, because the EMA is actually faster. If you have the same period, while theirs is slower than EMA, EMA uses the current most recent price more, has a higher weight to it versus the. So this does make sense. You'd have to increase your WMA period, or decrease it to a bigger number, like, or not a smaller number, or increase the EMA to a bigger number to treat the EMA as slower. In this case, because they have the same 14 period, the EMA is actually faster, so that's why it's on top. And you know, the dotted yellow is the one that's above. In that case, we'll call it the fast moving average versus the slow moving average. If the fast is greater than the slow, we'll paint the bars blue. And if the opposite is true, where the fast, the dotted yellow or dash yellow, is below the slow of coral, we'll paint it red. And that's it. All right, I hope you enjoyed this ChatGPT, using ChatGPT to write NinjaTrader code. I don't quite recommend it just yet. There are conveniences that it has provided, but I think there's probably more work for the simple ones than it's worth at this point. Especially if you're starting out new, you're probably just gonna confuse yourself and try to make whatever it generated work, versus starting from scratch, copying an existing one like I did when I created the Wilder. I copied the EMA, I changed the places where it needed to be changed, and that was a whole lot more straightforward because I knew I was working with code that actually compiled and works, versus something ChatGPT kind of assumed or thinks would work. So again, like and subscribe. I'll do a couple more of these videos hopefully as soon as I can, with Tradeovate and other platforms, and maybe NinjaTrader again. Thanks for watching.